many families request virtual, even to this day, right? So we have all options. We can meet you at a library. We can meet you at a park. We can meet you at your home. We will come to you. Okay. We literally want to come and help in any way we can.
All right.
These services are available. They're open to everybody. Every single person in the state of Indiana. We are here to help.
Legacy Foundation is Lake County's community foundation. For over 30 years, we've partnered with donors and nonprofits, focusing on youth development, the arts, the environment, health, literacy, and other causes that matter to you. We're committed to Lake County forever. First Things First Porter County is dedicated to supporting families, healthy beginnings, and quality early learning, ensuring every Porter County baby is born prepared for a strong start in life. Learn more at firstthingspc.org.
I have a very strong connection to other students. Everyone makes an effort to help each other. I'll remember the feeling of being here, the feeling that I was a part of a family.
Additional support for Building Blocks is provided generously by Tom Sorlis and Sue Eleuterio, as well as Porter County Community Foundation, serving Porter County since 1996.
Building Blocks, the podcast, is a co-production of Lakeshore Public Media and First Things First Porter County. For more information on Building Blocks, including this podcast, as well as the television show, visit lakeshorepublicmedia.org/buildingblocks.
Hi. Today I'm talking with Rachel Lieske, speech-language pathologist here in Northwest Indiana. And we're going to be talking about language development, developmental milestones, motherhood, and everything in between. Welcome to Building Blocks.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here with you.
This is a lot of fun because we share this background in speech and language pathology. So tell us how you landed with that and all of those letters behind your name as a professional here in Northwest Indiana.
Okay. Well, I love telling this story, and I will do my best not to get emotional about it, but generally I do get a little weepy. So I am a Valpo resident, born and raised, left for school, came home. In high school, at Valpo High School, we have a program called, well, it was called peer tutoring. It's currently called, I think it's called Life Skills now. So any Valpo High School students, you can come correct me later. But we had peer tutoring, and it was an opportunity from like junior and senior year. You gave up your homeroom so that you could go work in the classroom with the kiddos, and so like the special needs kids. So I did that junior year, and I don't know if we like purposely got matched up, but I got matched up with this very, very special person in my heart who I still kind of keep in touch with the family today, but she was my girl. Like I called her, I won't say her name for privacy purposes, but she was my girl and everybody knew it. And I got to go to the classroom with her. Sometimes I'd go to speech with her. And one day it was one of those speech days, and I got to go with her and some of her other buddies who were going to speech for the day, which shout out to the school speech paths. You guys are literally some of the best humans in the entire world. So we're in speech. She's doing her thing, but I've got my ear on one of the other students because once you love one, you love them all. The speech path was working on him getting a sound for like the first time. She had peanut butter and the popsicle stick, right? She sticks that peanut butter right behind his teeth. We were working on like T's and D's. That kid said a T for like the first time. And her eyes lit up, and the way that his did, I was hooked. I'm like, if I can do something like this and like help bring joy to a kid and recognize that we can give everybody a voice, I want to do that for my whole life. So
you knew from a pretty young age that this was where you wanted to be.
Yeah.
That's really special.
Mm-hmm. I was super lucky to have that opportunity, and Tina Morales is the head special ed teacher at the high school, and she is again one of the most amazing humans, and so I'm really lucky that I got to be with her.
And there is something about working with young children and just other humans, and when the light bulb goes on or it clicks, it's magic.
Yeah,
and it takes special people like you to make that happen. So tell me, what's involved when you are learning to be a speech-language pathologist?
So first things first, we go, well, I mean, things are kind of changing these days, but in my experience, first you go get your undergrad. And I went to Indiana University Bloomington, did the undergrad with speech and hearing sciences, and then I just immediately knew grad school was the next step. Some people will do their undergrad and maybe want to go into the schools right away because you can, with your undergraduate degree, be a speech language assistant in the public schools. Just for me, how my parents did their education and how like all my family did, it was like, okay, cool. You do your 4 years and then you go to grad school. So I applied to grad school like many of my other classmates and went right off. So then I did another almost 2-year program up at Northwestern University in Evanston and got to have the experience with working with adults, working with kids. And I think even my supervisor, like day one, she was like, I know you're going to do this adult stuff, but we all know that you want to work with the kids. And
That's great. And that's part of my story too. I started at Northwestern in speech and language pathology. Yeah.
I don't think I knew that.
That was
So we're wildcats together?
Go Cats.
Oh my gosh.
I bleed purple. I don't know about you, but
What?
yes.
That's
And
cool.
just being in that language lab, we both know what that looks like. And that was my passion for 3-year-olds. Came
my
from
gosh.
that very experience. So I understand that magic and when that happens. And it's not just the child, but it's also their family.
Yes. Yeah. I was really lucky to get to like work with them. I remember 2 of the parents came in for one of like our classes, right? Like, let's hear from parents about what early intervention is.
Sure.
And that's what it's called in Illinois. It's EI. We have First Steps in Indiana. But so I got to meet 2 of these EI moms and then come to find out they were super close with my supervisor. So then I got to like go see those kids outside of the school element, and I got to babysit and I got to nanny for one of them. And even that connection, like getting to see what these kids need outside of a 45-minute therapy session or how I'm supposed to create a SOAP note. Like I just got to have that real life exposure, which made learning about language development and how there are so many areas, it just made it so much more like rich, and I actually could apply it.
That's
Much
right.
better.
And that real life experience. So SOAP note, that may be an unfamiliar term.
SOAP note is like our treatment plan.
Okay.
And if you know me, you know I'm not the best at those things because I just like to get in and just see what we're going to do for the day.
See what's up with these children. Yes. That's fantastic. And I think you're right. There's so much more to it. I know some of the misperceptions that people have about the field of speech and language is, it's a lot of working on articulation and sounds and letters or language development, but there's so much more. Tell us other areas, if especially people who are interested in the field,
Yes.
might want to explore.
Holy moly. Okay. So we of course have like the old school artic where like the idea is you're sitting at a table and you just drill flashcards. We don't need flashcards. Just pick up something real life. I'd rather a kid know that an apple is an apple, not a picture of an apple. So yes, we can work on articulation. We can work on apraxia of speech. I know that word's kind of getting tossed around a little bit more. So yes, we have apraxia. We can work on myofunctional therapy. That is a newer topic near and dear to my heart. Just really thinking about how the muscles of the face impact our airway. Airway-centric therapists are very, very integral, I think, in making sure when we look at a whole child or a whole adult, right? I always talk in terms of
And that's
children.
what we're talking about today is children.
Yes. But, whole child, we can't isolate one area of development from another. We can work on...
So I want to hear the airflow.
Yeah.
Like, big deal. What does that mean? I'm breathing, I'm in and out.
Yes. Okay. So how we breathe matters. Humans are obligate nose breathers. And if we're not breathing from our nose, we got to figure out the why. And I'm super lucky because the women that I work with, we are all, again, whole child therapists. We are always thinking about the root cause of issues. We don't like to treat symptoms. We want to get to the root of the problem. And if we can't figure it out, we're going to go find the person who can.
Okay.
So there are so many more like-minded professionals that are just coming up into our area in Northwest Indiana. There's more access to this type of like objective education on how we breathe matters. And you don't have to go up to Chicago to the hospital. You don't have to go to Indy for the hospital. We've got some really, really stellar professionals in Northwest Indiana now.
So this is intriguing to me. How do you teach someone to breathe differently?
Oh, my
and why,
word
why,
alive.
why does that matter, more importantly?
Okay, so, I mean, if we think about it, breathing is our most important function. If you cannot breathe, you cannot function. So we think about the quality of airflow, and I'm going to be real careful with what I say because I'm still learning.
Okay.
Nobody knows it all, and I am the first one to say that. But we're thinking about how, I don't know, like you think about a palate, right? The roof of your mouth. The roof of your mouth is the floor of your nose. That's connected.
It's all connected.
Yes, it's all connected. Everything is connected. You cannot isolate one thing from another. So we think about how our airway affects how we eat, how we sleep, how we think. It all impacts how I'm a speech path. And if I'm one who really wants to help impact a kiddo, it's my job to share this knowledge.
Sure.
And the knowledge is always growing. Again, I don't know everything. I'm just excited to keep learning and learning from the people who have made this their life goal.
Absolutely.
I'm just coming along to learn because I think it's a big missing piece.
Okay.
That we are just scraping the surface.
Wow. And I know, for example, in my experience, and I didn't continue on with my education because at the time, I'm dating myself a long time ago, it was very siloed. It was very much in isolation. We weren't looking at the whole child. And that's really what I knew I wanted to be doing. So I took a different pathway. But I know at the time we talked a lot about like swallowing and feeding. And those are some of the things that you also work on.
I do. Yes. That was one of my favorite things in grad school was to get to go do like the swallow studies.
Yes.
And I was very fortunate. I had one of my current kiddos let me tag along for a swallow study last summer. We got to go up to a hospital and I got to sit there and watch. Holy moly, have I forgotten a lot? I'm looking and I'm like, oh yeah, they look great. I'm not seeing any aspiration penetration. And then we get it back in the speech path like, oh yeah, no, we're still doing some of this stuff,
Still
Rach.
working on those things.
You gotta hone those cues. But yeah, swallowing's a big one. I've got a couple feeding kiddos right now that we work not only on just the motoric ability of like how can food go from your mouth to your throat to your tummy, but are we even okay with food being in our vicinity? Can we tolerate looking at it, smelling it, touching it? There's more to eating than just food goes in the mouth.
And that's huge for parents.
Yes,
I know
yes.
that is such a worry for so many parents about what is my child eating. They're not eating, they're eating this, they're not eating that. And wow, there is a lot that goes into that. So it's wonderful to know that there is support and help for that.
Yes, and I would say one of the biggest benefits or maybe just a big support for families is letting your child play in food. And that even means making some messes sometimes.
Uh-oh, not messes.
I know, God forbid I say the word mess and I just see some parents' eyes just either go real wide or like, okay, get this lady out of here.
What does that look like when you're saying like, oh, it's okay, let your child play with food?
It can mean we are going to put them in their high chair and we are just going to open that fridge door and pull out the condiments and just spray and play. And it's going to get in your hands and in your hair and probably in your nose. But that is play. Messy play is brain play. The more we play with our food, that we get it on our hands, on our face, on our clothes even, you have to be aware. You know when people say, oh, you got a little something on your face. You have to feel that. If you don't, then you could go walking around with SpaghettiOs on your face all day.
Sure.
And they're delicious, but you don't want them on your face all day. We need kids to know that food isn't, again, just to go in the mouth and fill your belly. It's for nutrition, but it's also for like socialization. You know what it's like when you want to go meet your friend for a favorite food or even just make one of your favorite foods at home.
Yes.
That's a question I ask families all the time. What is your favorite food? And they'll tell me, and I'm like, don't you want to be able to eat that with your kid? And of course, the answer is always yes, but they feel like we're never going to get there. There's no way they can do that.
Interesting.
But they can because parents are our best teachers.
And it's such a cultural experience. Like this is our family's culture. This is how we operate as a family. We always have this particular food at this holiday. So how might you help a family look through that? Or what can families be doing from the time of birth to start building up that culture of feeding and food in their families?
Having a kiddo sitting at the table with you anytime you are eating is a great introduction. you know what it's like when you're eating one of your favorite foods. You're happy. Like I know when I'm eating tacos, I am just sitting there doing my little dance going. My Claire Bear does it too. And you want to know that food brings joy. Food should bring joy.
Sure.
And babies pick up on your emotions from day one. They're picking up on how you're feeling. So you're in the kitchen cooking, you've got the music going. I want your baby right there with you.
Absolutely.
Letting them know that there are processes to mealtime, that we got to get out the pots and pans. We got to pull out the veggies from the fridge. We got to do some chopping. Food just doesn't appear out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. You let your baby see what happens, they start to develop an expectation, anticipation, excitement. And then, ooh, if mama's eating it, I want to eat it too.
Of course, of course. And there's, I think there's just so much information for parents out there about like the right time to start foods. And I imagine that's different for every baby.
Yes.
So we can't give any specific guidelines, but
Correct.
how do families know these things? Where do you find that information out? What is...
I would say when it comes to kind of how you're saying, like specific guidelines, you can Google everything and everybody's going to tell you a different number.
Right.
You should do this at X amount of months. You should do this at X amount of months. What me and my colleagues share with families, like for example, if we're doing first steps assessments or if we're doing that initial eval at the clinic, we want to make sure that a child's body is ready to eat.
Okay.
And what that readiness looks like is postural support, is making sure that hydration status is appropriate. And I'm saying this and I'm already like, I know someone's out there like, well, what about our kiddos who aren't oral feeders? Rachel, you got to remember that. And I promise I'm speaking in generalities right now, but I will loop back. A big takeaway, your kid's got to be able to sit up when they are able. Again, I'm putting these asterisks.
Of course, every baby's going to be different.
Every baby's different, but as long as our babies are able to sit up and support themselves, then we know that the trunk can support the mouth because feeding stems from the trunk. If we're weak in our belly, we're weak in our mouth.
It's not just about your face and your mouth.
No, you don't just shove food in a kid's mouth. Many families say, well, we give this food to them and they spit it out. Well, guess what? Your kid also is still working on stabilizing their muscles because they won't know. Their tongue doesn't know what to do if their tummy doesn't. And when I say tummy, I mean like trunk support and like core stability and that.
All of those muscles. That's so exciting.
It's a lot. There's so much and we can get so nerdy, but it's also, because it's a lot, learning, and I'm always learning this, like how much do I share at one time?
Of course.
I'm a lot. I tend to just try to give it all at one time, and I know it's too much sometimes. So there are some really awesome resources out there that can give us more of a guideline of, okay, well, you want to try this food. Here are some ideas how. Mm-hmm. So am I allowed to say like a recommendation for an app?
Sure.
Okay. There's a really great one that I personally love. It's called Solid Starts.
Okay.
It's a free app, and it's obviously a website as well, but it was created by 5 super awesome smart women, a pediatrician, a gastroenterologist, occupational therapist, speech path, and a nutritionist.
So the whole team.
The whole team. Again, whole approach. It's not just pick a food and go with it, but they create videos, like real-time videos of kids at certain ages eating foods presented in certain ways. Tiny bites aren't always good.
Okay.
Like Solid Starts kind of shares the background and the safety around choking. Sometimes if our bites are too small, that can lead to a choking hazard. So it's definitely more of the baby-led weaning style.
Okay.
And again, it gives specific like visuals. This is how old your kid is. Give food this size.
This size.
This is a food you want to try. Here you go. We'll walk you through it.
Wonderful.
It's great. And then it's less of I'm telling you what to do. I am just simply giving you one resource, but you can pick and you can go through and filter and you can isolate any allergens because so many of our kids are allergic to foods. We can't just say, oh, just go pick whatever you want. There's health and safety are priority, and this is a way to do that.
That's terrific.
Yeah.
So I'm talking today with speech language pathologist Rachel Lieske, and we're talking about all the wonderful things with children's development around feeding and swallowing, but also just being a mom and understanding what resources are available. Rachel, you mentioned first steps, and I know that that's a big part of your professional obligation. Tell us what is first steps and why would families want to interact with first steps?
First Steps is our state's early intervention. We support kids from the day they're born till the day before their third birthday. I'm going to say that again. We can start the day they're born. We can offer supports for a range of concerns from eating concerns, sleeping concerns, mobility concerns, and communication is a very common one. But families can find our website. You can go to just firststeps.org, talking with other moms and other trusted adults, moms and dads, trusted adults. Many of our local pediatricians are becoming so much more aware and just kind of sharing like, hey, First Steps is out there. But there's still work to do. There are many families that when I go into the home with one of my colleagues as an assessment team member, first visit, they're over 2 and they're like, I had no idea you guys existed. Why didn't anyone tell me about this? And that just always kind of like kills us a little bit because it's like, we're here.
Sure.
We've been here for years. So if I can shout it from the rooftops, if you have any kind of questions about your kid's development, you can start a referral. Parents start the referral. You don't need our pediatricians, and God love our pediatricians. Ours are the best, and I love them. But they're doing enough, or not, they do a ton all day long, right? So you don't need a pediatrician to start the process.
So walk me through that. I'm a mom. Actually, my family used First Steps for one of our children, so I understand the process. But for those out there who may not be familiar, I know in our case, we weren't clear. I knew a little thing about child development, and my little one wasn't crawling and wasn't moving.
Oh, yeah.
So what would you tell me?
I would say let's get on the First Steps website and do an online referral form.
Okay.
You write down your identifying info, your contact info, and an email, and then your concerns. And then somebody from our First Steps office, and so for our area in Cluster A, our office is in Crown Point. We've got some of the best service coordinators and case supporters. And then somebody contacts you directly, and we go through an intake process. Intake process. That's going to be a lot of paperwork going through all the nuts and bolts, your address, your family history, your concerns, where you live.
The language that you speak?
Yes, absolutely. The familiar language is very important. And then they'll say, okay, we can get you set up. And we'll schedule an assessment for you. And then two of our colleagues would come and do an in-home assessment.
Okay.
We also offer virtual assessments. Many families request virtual, even to this day, right? Mm-hmm. So we have all options. We can meet you at a library. We can meet you at a park. We can meet you at your home. We will come to you. Okay. We literally want to come and help in any way we can.
All right.
These services are available. They're open to everybody. Every single person in the state of Indiana. We are here to help.
Okay.
So firststeps.org, fill out your referral form, and someone will contact you.
And then the team shows up?
The team shows up. We do a roughly 90-minute assessment. We use our own standardized tool, looks at global development. So any concerns that you bring, we will absolutely address them. We're going to answer your questions. We're going to offer the resources while also remembering you can't isolate one area development from another. Whole child. So we look at global developmental skills. And then we talk about, based on our standardized test, not to get too nerdy about it, but in order to qualify for First Steps, you either show a 25% delay in one of 6 areas or a 20% delay in 2 of the areas.
So what might, give me an example what that might look like, a 25% delay in one area?
So each kiddo is scored with their same aged peers. So let's say I have a 18-month-old assessment and we're running through our test and the family's concerns are speech related. Mm-hmm. So we go through our whole test, we score it up. And if the kiddo, we have like our score sheet. I mean, for those who are with me on assessment team, they're like, oh, Rachel shouldn't be explaining this part, but
But you're part of a team that
we're
goes
part
through
of a
this.
team. Yes. And this is objective data.
Yes.
First Steps isn't about just someone's opinion or assumption. We use objective data to determine if a kiddo meets criteria for First Steps. If they meet criteria, then the family has a third meeting. So I guess that first step that I mentioned, the intake process, that's step one. Step two, assessment team members come out and come play. I say the word play, it should look like play.
It does look like play.
It better.
That's right. And it's not a test like we think of for grown-ups or even for
Correct.
third graders. This is a test a test. This is an observation. This is interaction.
Yes.
Let's try these things out. What happens when I roll a ball to you, 18-month-old? You roll it back to me maybe you don't.
Right.
Maybe there's some utterances or some language around that. And so that's what the team is watching for and scoring, like you say.
Yep. Play-based assessment. We ask parents so many questions, but we're really careful to say, please know we're asking because you are the professional on your child.
That's right.
Nobody knows your Nobody knows your baby better than you. We're just here because we get a snapshot. We get to come in and we get to see one time. So we ask you questions so that we make sure we represent your kiddo to the best of our ability when we write up the assessment.
So the assessment gets written up and it's determined that this child may need some support. The family might need some ideas, some support. What happens next?
Then the family has a third meeting and they go to their service coordinator. Service coordinator is your go-to for all things First Steps. You and the service coordinator sit down and you make a plan. Parents drive the services. Your concerns drive your services. So you talk about, well, these are my goals. I want my kiddo to be able to tell me when they're hungry. I want my kiddo to be able to walk up the stairs. Okay, we're going to put plans and goals in place and providers in place who can address those specific concerns.
And so what does that look like? That plan gets put in place. What happens next?
Then our service coordinators are always kind of working in the background, making sure that when we even know that concerns are being presented, they're already reaching out to our local First Steps clinics and reaching out to available providers who can go see.
And that happens in the home then? That
Yes.
continues, those services continue in the home?
They continue in what we call the natural environment,
Okay.
which can include home, but it can also include a park, a library, a grocery store. I have done First Step sessions at the grocery store.
Okay.
It's awesome. You can go to Starbucks. It's wherever the kiddo might need support, where the parent might need support.
Sure.
We have lots of trusted adults who are like, we don't leave the house.
We don't lose
We
them.
don't. It's too stressful. And then in my brain, I'm like, ooh, okay, let's go do it together. I will be here with you. You're not going to do this by yourself. I'll be that extra set of hands. I'll be that extra idea where it's like, okay, this is where we're going to melt down. Let's do A, B, and C first and see if we can make it a little easier.
Of course.
Because First Steps is family centered. Yes, like the kiddo is the name on the piece of paper, but it's the whole family unit.
It is the whole family unit.
We got to support
And
them.
how wonderful. And you're talking about this is happening when children are 6 months old, the day after they get home from the hospital.
Yes.
It's so important to start early.
Yes, don't wait. Trust your intuition. Your gut is your best friend. So when you feel like something's going on, don't let somebody talk you out of it. This is a voluntary program. You can call us or email anytime you want. And let's say there are some instances where we come out, we do our initial assessment. Kiddo isn't showing. They're not meeting criteria. Okay, let's come back in 2 or 3 months. We're still here. Just because you do one initial assessment with First Steps and the kid doesn't qualify, doesn't mean you can't come call us back anytime. From birth to 3, we are here.
So much more to talk about, Rachel. We'll have to have you back. But for now, is there any just advice, one piece of advice you can give to families right now as we wrap up?
Turn off the TV and sit down on the floor with your kid.
I love that advice. Thank you so much for your time, for being here today. You are a wonderful resource, wonderful. I can only imagine the joy that families and children have when you show up at their door with all of your things and the fun that it must be to spend time with you. So
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Legacy Foundation is Lake County's community foundation. For over 30 years, we've partnered with donors and nonprofits, focusing on youth development, the arts, the environment, health, literacy, and other causes that matter to you. We're committed to Lake County forever. First Things First Porter County is dedicated to supporting families, healthy beginnings, and quality early learning, ensuring every Porter County baby is born prepared for a strong start in life. Learn more at firstthingspc.org.
I have a very strong connection to other students. Everyone makes an effort to help each other. I'll remember the feeling of being here, the feeling that I was a part of a family.
Additional support for Building Blocks is provided generously by Tom Sorlis and Sue Eleuterio, as well as Porter County Community Foundation, serving Porter County since 1996.
Building Blocks, the podcast, is a co-production of Lakeshore Public Media and First Things First Porter County. For more information on Building Blocks, including this podcast, as well as the television show, visit lakeshorepublicmedia.org/buildingblocks.